Hi, so my name is Tara and I'm doing my first video on how to get your first pull-up or chin-up. And most of these exercises as well are applicable if you're just looking to increase the amount of reps you can do with a pull-up or chin-up as well. And I still do a lot of these because they're so good at strengthening your lats and your biceps. Just wanted to start quickly with some tips and just the difference between a pull-up and a chin-up. So the difference between a pull-up and a chin-up is honestly very minimal. Chin-up, your palms are facing you like this, and then with a pull-up, your palms are facing away. So the chin-up is a little bit easier because your biceps are involved as well as your lats. And with the pull-up, it is your lats and your traps. So I definitely think implementing both are really beneficial. Some tips for your pull-ups. To start off with, you do want to practice about 2 to 3 times per week. I would say practicing only one time will get you results, but it will take a bit slower if you are able to practice it for the 2 to 3 times per week. And any more, you are likely just going to cause yourself to fatigue a bit, so I don't think it's beneficial to practice it more than 3 times a week. Don't feel ashamed or embarrassed if you can't do a pull-up or chin-up yet. It's a hard exercise, and the strength that you build from weight training is not really that transferable at all to pull-ups or any sort of calisthenic exercise. So it makes sense that a lot of people aren't able to do it yet, but with enough practice, you can absolutely get it. And don't feel bad doing any of these modifications because they're all really hard, and I still do a lot of them because I want to strengthen my lats and I want to always work on increasing the pull-ups that I do. So one of the biggest tips that I have for starting out with is you want to practice your pull-ups or chin-ups at the beginning of your workout because that's when you have the most strength. So if you practice in the middle or at the end of your workout, your back is already going to be pretty fatigued and you won't be able to do as well as if you were to practice at the beginning. So what I recommend doing is a light warm-up. You can do a little bit of cardio, 5 to 10 minutes. If you like cardio, I don't like cardio, so I never do cardio. I usually just do some dynamic warm-ups, which I am going to show here. So here I'm just doing a few different dynamic warm-ups. I'm just doing some arm swings side to side and also up and down. I'm also doing some arm circles just to warm up my shoulders. I go forwards and backwards about 10 times. I also work on some mobility with some shoulder dislocations and some rear delt band pull-aparts. So the first exercise that I recommend doing, I actually did not do this myself when I learned pull-ups, but I do think it really would help a lot. This exercise used to look so intimidating to me, but it is much easier than a standard pull-up or chin-up. So for all exercises, I recommend starting with a chin-up grip. So again, that means your palms are facing you. And for this exercise, you're going to get under a bar, and the higher the bar is, the easier it is going to be. So you can do it with a barbell, or what I think will be most convenient for most people is using a Smith machine. So I would say about belly button height to start out with, and you can play around with the height and see what feels most comfortable for you. And one modification for this is if you bend your knees, it's going to decrease the amount of weight that you have to pull up. So you can work on getting 10 reps with a supinated grip, so palms facing you, bent knees. When you have mastered that with very good form, at 10 reps, you are ready to move on to the next progression, so you can straighten your legs. And then when you have the 10 reps with a supinated grip and straight legs, you can move on to a pronated grip, so your palms will be facing away from you. So once you have mastered 10 good reps of any of these progressions, you are ready to move on to the next. So starting on a higher bar with a supinated grip, so my palms are facing me and my knees are bent. Eventually you can move towards having your legs straight, which will add a little bit more weight that you need to pull up. Then eventually you can move to a lower bar and eventually have your palms facing away from you. Start with bent knees and then eventually work on straightening your legs. And then continue on working on this on a lower bar. And as you can tell at the end of this clip, this exercise still really challenges me. So the next exercise that I recommend working on is just simply dead hangs. Basically, even though it's called a dead hang, you do want to keep your lats and your core tight to minimize swinging and really keep your body stable. I would recommend doing about 3 sets for as long as you can, basically. If you can try to work up to 3 sets of 20 to 30 second holds, that is amazing. And the reason that you want to do this, even though you might not think it's really helping your pull-up, is that if you don't have the grip strength to hold on for that long to begin with, you can't expect yourself to hold on and pull yourself up. So here I'm just doing a dead hang. Just make sure you keep your lats and core engaged to minimize swinging. And if you feel adventurous, you can hold on with just one arm, but this is a bit more of an advanced movement here. Hanging onto a bar can be really intimidating if you haven't done it before, so I have a tip to help out with that. So basically, either find a low bar or you can use a Smith machine and have your feet be just about 6 inches to a foot off the ground. So if you fall, it's not going to hurt at all. It's not going to be a big deal. And I also know that your hands can hurt so bad from it. So a couple tips that I have, I would really recommend staying away from gloves if you can, just because they're not going to do anything for your grip strength. Another thing that I would recommend the most is just liquid chalk, and that's what I use for all the calisthenic exercises I do, and it just prevents your hands from being really sweaty and prevents you from falling off the bar. So the next exercise that I would recommend doing is pull-up jumps. So you want the bar to be pretty close to your height, so you can always just grab a box if you're a bit short like myself. And you are just going to jump up to the bar and hold at the top for like half a second or a second, as long as you can really, and then as slowly as you can let yourself down. And when you first start, it's probably not going to be much time at all, but you can work on that each session. So as you can see, I am jumping up and I'm using as much strength in my upper body to pull myself up, but it may be minimal at the beginning. Exercise is basically just spinning off this, and you are just going to jump and hold at the top for as long as you can. So just jump and hold yourself at the top for as long as possible, and embrace all of the shaking that you will encounter. It's totally normal. Do about 3 sets for anywhere from like 3 to 10 seconds, as long as you can really. The next exercise I would recommend doing is pull-up negatives. It's very similar to the other two exercises, except you're going to jump to the top of the bar and lower yourself down as slow as possible. So I would say doing this for about 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps as slow as you can would be really good, and then doing 1 set at the end as absolutely slow as possible. So as you can see, I'm using the box to give me momentum to get up, and I'm slowly releasing down, and I'm just repeating that for a few times until my lats are on fire. So this exercise is really good because it is taking the eccentric portion of the movement, which is where everyone is the strongest, and it is creating these micro tears in the muscle fibers for the exact movement that you want to do, so it's going to really help strengthen you in that movement and just your back in general. The really good exercise is doing assisted pull-ups. So you can do this on the machine or with resistance bands. And the principle with both of these is that you want to progressively work on lowering the amount of resistance that you need over time. So the way that both of them work is it is taking weight off your body weight. So if you're doing it on the machine, maybe start with 20 to 30 pounds off your body weight. And if you're doing it with the bands, start with the heaviest band. And over time, you are going to decrease the amount of resistance. So maybe take an extra 10 pounds off, 20 pounds off to the second lightest band. And you're just going to keep working on that over time. And once you're about 10 pounds off your body weight if you're using the machine, or if you are on the red band, you are so close to getting your first unassisted pull-up. So here I'm doing the assisted pull-ups and chin-ups with resistance bands. So start with the heaviest band, which is typically the green one, starting doing chin-ups and then pull-ups, shooting for 10 reps as being your magic number to progress. So eventually you want to work on decreasing the amount of resistance. So here I am using the black band, which is about a medium resistance. And then eventually when you hit the red band, or if you only have a few pounds left on the machine, you are almost ready for your unassisted pull-ups. And for this, you can do a bunch of different rep ranges. You can test your 1 rep maxes with as little amount of resistance as possible. You can also do 3 sets of 10, you can do 3 sets of 8. You want to work around and play with different numbers, but you do want to try and track your progress and make sure that you are decreasing the amount of resistance over time. So keep practicing these and you will absolutely get your first unassisted pull-up or chin-up. And once you do get it, you may just only be able to do 1 or 2 at a time. And a really good way to increase the amount of reps you can do is do your unassisted pull-ups or chin-ups and then either go to the assisted pull-up machine or use your resistance bands and do a drop set. So do the unassisted pull-ups or chin-ups first and go straight into the assisted ones and just basically go to failure. And over time, this is really going to strengthen your lats and your biceps, and you will be able to perform more reps. And another thing that I'd recommend doing is to continue working on slow negative pull-ups. I still do negative pull-ups all the time, They kill me. They're really, really good and effective, and they really do strengthen your lats. And before you know it, you will be repping out unassisted chin-ups and pull-ups. Just stay consistent and determined, and you will absolutely get there. So I really hope this video was helpful. Stay determined, you absolutely can do it. I wasn't always able to do pull-ups. It took me about 3 months of really consistent practice to get my first one, and about 6 months, I would say, to be able to rep out a few. And then you will eventually be learning cool pull-up variations because pull-ups and chin-ups will just be too easy for you. I can do a video on different variations of that as well in the future. Any video requests you have, let me know and I will definitely get on with doing those. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!